It's Scott on Security. I'm Scott Beck, CEO of Beck Tech, a cybersecurity and IT support firm, and also co-star in the Amazon Prime documentary Cybercrime. Well, the Canadian Anti-Fraud Centre has released its top frauds of 2019, the list of things that well, for lack of better terms, stole the most money from Canadians and elsewhere. By the way, I was taking a look at the American numbers, and things line up pretty close as to the types of crimes that are being committed. Just the Americans, my American friends, there's just so many more of you. The numbers are even bigger. But the number one threat, or the number one fraud that's occurring across North America, it doesn't matter whether you're in Canada or in the U.S., is extortion. Now, extortion can come in many different ways. I talk about the bad guys are trying to use emotion to get you to react to something. Pay us now or we're going to shut off your hydro, or it's the tax man calling and then you owe us back taxes. So whether it's the IRS or the CRA, you got to pay us in Bitcoin or we're going to foreclose on your house, or we're going to send the sheriff over and we're going to arrest you. Whatever the case may be, they're using your emotions against you to extort money from you. The number one extortion, well, actually in the world right now, but North America specifically, ransomware. And we've talked about it on this show numbers of times, so I won't belittle the point, but it's when the bad guys get in and lock up all your files and say, oh, would you like to have your data back? That's only going to cost you, well, back 6 years ago, it was like $49. Most people paid it, moved on. Now we've seen the most expensive ransom paid in Canada anyways, $950,000 US. Over $1 million got extorted from a company, an insurance company actually, because they didn't have good backups and they couldn't get access back to their files, so they had to pay up. So according to this report, the top frauds that occurred in 2019, extortion is number one, and there's a lot of different scams that fall in underneath extortion, with ransomware, of course, being number one. So I'm going to reiterate what I call the REST test that I came up with. You can take a look at whether it's an email or a text message or a phone call or a letter that's sent in to you, compare it against the REST test, and it should tell you, is this potentially a scam, and should I be worried about it? Should I pay attention to it? R, it's requesting personal information. If it's a letter or something coming from the bank saying we need to confirm your bank account, there's a problem because they already know what your bank account is. E is emotion. That stuff I was just talking about. You got to take action now, or something bad's going to happen, or cousin Jimmy is in Jamaica and he's been in a terrible car accident. And if you don't pay, Jimmy could die. Whatever. They're trying to use that emotion to get you to take an action, usually to send money. Whether it's usually, I use the term usually a lot because it's typical. Typically, it's going to be through cyber currency of some sort, or maybe a gift card. Now, can you imagine the revenue agency, the tax man calling up saying, hey, look, you still owe us $30,000, but you give us $1,500 in gift cards and we'll call it even. Doesn't make sense, yet people are falling for this because of the use of the emotion. S, spelling and grammar. Still, a lot of these attacks are coming from offshore, so if you're noticing some spell or grammar mistakes, that could be a warning sign. And T is think before you click. If it's coming from an individual saying they're UPS because it's a package, and you hover over the link and it's not going to the UPS website, good chance that that's going to be fraudulent, and it could lead to getting you infected and then lead to extortion, which we now know was the number one fraud tool used by the bad guys in 2019. So let's be aware. Keep this in mind because we want to keep our money in our pockets and out of the hands of cyber criminals. Thanks a lot for joining me on this episode of Security on Scott. Stay safe out there.